Games from Folktales, a podcast that mixes historical research and tabletop role-playing settings. I'm your host, Timothy Ferguson. This week I'm cheating by having another look at a creature already covered on the blog that accompanies the podcast. A very long time ago, I created some introductory material for Ars Magica called The Covenant of Sabrina's Rest. When I say I created it, I started it, and various other people helped by studying out various bits and pieces. You can find various related documents on my blog or on the Atlas Forum. Now, Sabrina's Rest is named after the goddess of the river Severin, and I was using a historian's account of a poem which only contained a tiny amount of the original source material, so I'm going to restat Sabrina, having discovered the poem on which she's based. It's by Milton, and in the recording which follows, it's been read into the public domain by 3 readers from LibriVox, thanks to the gang over at LibriVox. You'll notice that Sabrina involuntarily undergoes becoming, that is, she becomes a fairy, using a procedure that magi might follow if they wished. After this, she becomes a sort of folk saint as well. She defends maidens, she breaks spells, and so I've started her as a relatively normal water nymph. Clearly she needs a little bit of extra work. And now over to the team from LibriVox.
The Nymph of the Severn from Comus. Read for LibriVox.org by Jason in Panama as the narrator,
Thomas Peter as the spirit,
and Lian Yao as Sabrina.
There is a gentle nymph not far from hence, that with moist curb sways the smooth Severn stream. Sabrina is her name, a virgin pure, with whom she was a daughter of Locrine, that had the sceptre from his father Brute. She, guiltless damsel, flying the mad pursuit of her enraged stepdame Gwendolen, commended her fair innocence to the flood, that stayed her flight with his cross-flowing course. The water nymphs that in the bottom played held up their pearled wrists and took her in, bearing her straight to aged Nereus's hall, who, piteous of her woes, reared her lank head, and gave her to his daughters to embathe in nectared lavers strewed with asphodel, and through the porch and inlet of each sense dropped in ambrosial oils, till she revived, and underwent a quick immortal change, made goddess of the river. Still she retains her maiden gentleness, and oft at eve visits the herds along the twilight meadows, helping all urchin blasts, and ill-luck signs that the shrewd meddling elf delights to make, which she with precious vile liquors heals, for which the shepherds at their festivals carol her goodness loud in rustic lays, and throw sweet garland wreaths into her stream of pansies, pinks, and gaudy daffodils. And, as the old swain said, she can unlock the clasping charm, and thaw the mumming spell, if she be right invoked in warbled song. For maidenhood she loves, and will be swift to aid a virgin, such as was herself, in hard besetting need. This will I try, and add the power of some adjuring verse.
Song.
Sabrina fair, listen where thou art sitting, under the glassy, cool, translucent wave, in twisted braids of lilies knitting the loose train of thy amber-dropping hair. Listen, for dear honour's sake, goddess of the silver lake, listen and save. Listen, and appear to us in name of great Oceanus, by the earth-shaking Neptune's maze, and Tellys' grave majestic pace, by hoary Nereus' wrinkled look, and the Carpathian wizard's hook, by scaly Triton's winding shell, and old soothsaying Glaucus' spell, by Leucothea's lovely hands, and her son that rules the strands, by Thetis' tinsel-slippered feet, and the songs of sirens sweet, by dead Parthenope's dear tomb, and fair Ligeia's golden comb, wherewith she sits on diamond rocks, sleeking her soft alluring locks, by all the nymphs that nightly dance upon thy streams with wily glance. Rise, rise, and heave thy rosy head from thy coral-paven bed, and bridle in thy headlong wave, till thou our summons answered have. Listen and save.
Sabrina rises, attended by water nymphs, and sings.
By the rushy-fringed bank, where grows the willow and the osier dank, my sliding chariot stays, thick set with agate, and the azure sheen of turquoise blue and emerald green, that in the channel strays, whilst from off the waters fleet, thus I set my printless feet o'er the cowslip's velvet head, that bends not as I tread. Gentle swain, at thy request, I am here.
Goddess dear, we implore thy powerful hand to undo the charmed band of true virgin here distressed, through the force and through the wile of unblessed enchanter vile.
Shepherd, 'tis my office best to help ensnared chastity. Brightest lady, look on me. Thus I sprinkle on thy breast drops that from my fountain pure I have kept of precious cure. Thrice upon thy finger's tip, thrice upon thy rubied lip. Next this marble venomed seat, smeared with gums of glutinous heat, I touch with chaste palms, moist and cold. Now the spell hath lost his hold, and I must haste ere morning hour to wait in Amphitrite's bower.
Sabrina descends, and the lady rises out of her seat.
Virgin daughter of Lucrine, sprung from old Anchises' line, may thy brim and waves for this their full tribute never miss, from 1,000 petty rills that tumble down the snowy hills. Summer drought or singed air never scorch thy tresses fair, no wet October's torrent flood thy molten crystal fill with mud. May thy billows roll ashore the beryl and the golden ore. May thy lofty head be crowned with many a tower and terrace round, and here and there thy banks upon with groves of myrrh and cinnamon. Come, lady, while heaven lends us grace, let us fly this cursed place, lest the sorcerer us entice with some other new device, not a waste or needless sound, till we come to holier ground. I shall be your faithful guide through this gloomy covert wide, and not many furlongs thence is your father's residence, where this night are met in state many a friend to gratulate his wished presence, and beside all the swains that near abide, with jigs and rural dance resort, we shall catch them at their sport, and our sudden coming there will double all their mirth and cheer. Come, let us haste. The stars grow high, but night sits monarch yet in the mid-sky.
just to nip back in at this point to explain one of the references. When the singer is calling up Sabrina, he mentions various sea gods, and then in amongst them all, he mentions the Carpathian wizard's crook. Now, the Carpathian wizards to us are House Tremare. What are they doing here? This is because there are two, strangely enough, homophonic terms in English. Carpathian, meaning from the Carpathian Mountains, and Carpathian, meaning from Carpathos, which is an island in Greece, or at least it was. It's now called Scarpento. The wizard who comes from Carpathos, and who is often represented as having a hook, was called Proteus. Proteus was a sea god. His fluidity allowed him to change into any shape he wished, and although he could predict the future, he didn't like doing so and would only do so for someone who was able to overcome his habit of shifting into multiple shapes to run away from them. Milton brings up Proteus again in Paradise Lost, where his ability to change his nature and form gives him some sort of link to the Philosopher's Stone, to the idea that you could internally purify yourself to become immortal. Shakespeare also mentions Proteus. Richard III uses him as a model of being able to take on a new shape or form to deceive other people. He compares himself to Proteus and to a chameleon. So he's a master of mutomagics.